Nate, it's not often we open this discussion talking about one specific player, but in a way it feels appropriate tonight. O'Shea Brissett was not even a part of this roster a few weeks ago. Tonight, you need him to play 42 minutes, many of them at a position he's never even played in before. And he comes through with a 23-point, 12 rebound, 3 block night. Can you speak to the challenge in front of him, everything that was placed on him, and how quickly that's come to be, and how and why he was able to pull through for you guys tonight?
Yeah, you nailed it on a couple things. Him playing that five against, a couple big bodies there throughout the game. He really had to use his physicality. He had to fight for position. A lot of ball screens were being set, so we were switching a lot of them as well. So some of them he'd had to play too, and keep that guard in front of him for a second, and then veer back and fight that big for position, then try to fight the big on the glass. We spent the morning in shoot around going over as much 5-on-0 as we could with him at the five, to get him up to speed on all of our plays. But to his credit, he knows how to play. He has a good instinct to play the game of basketball. He has a good feel out there. I thought he made the right choices on offense, and he was very active on defense, and he played a great game, and, had a double-double, and teammates, poured the water on him there in the locker room. So it was a good atmosphere.
Other questions, please.
Yeah, Nate, when you pulled him out, and I know he needed to get a breather at some point. It seems that's when the game almost turned against you, and you had to go back to him. How difficult, or how do you think he physically held up? Because that seems like a lot of responsibility in this short period of time to play 42 minutes for a guy.
Yeah, that was a big moment of the game there too. He played that whole third. Was trying to sneak him a couple minutes there, and they went on a little run. It was one of those things, but you're right. He had such an impact on that game. I think his plus minus was, 12. TJ had a plus minus of 17. So I was just trying to buy him a little bit of time there. And you could definitely feel his impact when he played throughout the game, and then definitely when he came back in. And I think his conditioning is good. I think he kept good conditioning through practices and stuff that he wasn't playing. He does a good job of taking care of his body, and I think he'll be ready to go for the next one with just as active.
And can I follow up with that? How do you do, like, say, for instance, I guess we can't project the future, but a guy like that, if he's playing this well and you get some bodies back, you're kind of caught between wanting him to keep his rhythm and reward him for what he's done, but, but also you have to work other guys back in rotation whenever you get those guys back. How difficult is that balancing act whenever you kind of cross that, when you get to that bridge? Have you been talking about that?
Yeah, it's a challenge, but you always want to lean on rewarding guys for playing well. There's going to be a spot for him. He's playing like this, and a double-double with a victory tonight. You're going to keep playing the guy. You want to lean on that to reward, and he's a guy that can play the 3, 4, 5. We saw him play the 5 tonight. So there's always a spot on the floor for guys like that are playing well and playing hard.
Any other questions for Coach? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Malcolm, you had a really big night tonight. So too did Karras in the backcourt with you. But want to start this by asking about O'Shea Brissett, a guy that wasn't even with you a month ago. He's asked to play a position he's never played before, and he really comes through and is one of the biggest difference makers on a night like tonight. What did you see from him? What have you seen from him? And how was he able to pull through on a night like this?
Man, I was actually just in the training room talking to him, seeing how he was feeling. I think he's the best late signing of the season, maybe of the history of the game, because he's playing, amazing basketball at a high level, playing his role, but knocking down open shots, blocking shots at the rim. Tonight we asked him to play the 5 and guard a guy that was 7'2". He just does it all, and he's a great teammate. So, it's been a lot of fun to play with him. It's been a lot of fun to see him have this success, especially as a young guy trying to make your name in this league. I enjoy watching it and trying to help him. So, we're proud of him, and we're happy he's playing the way he is because he's helping us get big wins.
Seth Johnson.
Hey, Malcolm. What are your thoughts on yesterday's verdict in the Derek Chauvin case and where we need to go from here?
Sure. I was very happy to see that he was guilty on all 3 charges. But I want people to remember that, and I want people to put this in perspective, that it's at the end of the day, it's justice. At the end of the day, this happens every day to Black and brown people. And, 99% of the time, these cops aren't held accountable. And this is one case where they have been. So hopefully it can be a snowball effect. Hopefully it can set a precedent going forward. But this is not something I was celebrating about. This is something that I was saying, absolutely, this is exactly what should happen. But not taking it for granted, but it's nothing to celebrate. It's something that should happen, and this is what I expect going forward. I don't have high hopes for it going forward because this is a country that hasn't done the right thing by the Black and brown community for hundreds of years. But I am hopeful.
Scott Agnes.
Malcolm, in what ways did you and your teammates have to help O'Shea adapt and be prepared for this moment to capitalize on it?
Oh man, just make him feel like he's part of the team, welcoming him with open arms. I think a lot of the time when you don't isolate someone on the floor because they're new, you swing them the ball even though you don't know what they're going to do with it. You trust them with an open shot. A lot of the time it pays off, and with a guy like that, it feeds him confidence. And he's a guy that is going to play hard for you and play his role to the fullest of his ability. And we trust him, and he trusts us, and it's worked out really, really well.
Jay Michael.
And Malcolm, speaking of O'Shea, seems like he kind of fills some void, a particular void you guys have. Like sometimes maybe, he's big enough to guard bigger physical guys, but also versatile enough to guard some of these 4s you see out there who can put the ball on the floor, and that he kind of maybe in the future down the line be able to help you guys solidify that spot on the floor. Do you see that in O'Shea and what he'll be able to do? And maybe that helps get you guys to whatever that next level is?
For sure. I think you bring up a good point. I think he does fill a void. That 3-man that can play the 4 and guard the 5, but also stretch the floor on the offensive end. We don't really have that. And he fills that role. He does it beautifully. And he's only going to blossom more on this team.
Pat.
If you guys continue to deal with significant injuries in future games, do you feel like you and Karras have maybe a little bit more pressure to carry things offensively? And if so, how do you continue to have nights like you did tonight?
For sure. I'd be lying if I said there wasn't more pressure to carry the team offensively. I think it's about just doing it the right way, not forcing shots, not taking other people out of rhythm by over dribbling or, making bad plays out of selfishness. Continue to be unselfish, continuing to get your guys involved and play the right way. And for us, man, it is more pressure, but in our minds, we can't put pressure on ourselves. We have to go out and tell ourselves, be more aggressive, but continue to play the right way and continue to empower your teammates on the floor and give them confidence.
Brendan Roper.
Yeah, Malcolm, late in the game, like 30 seconds left, you had the unfortunate turnover. How are you able to keep composure and just sink those free throws to close it out?
Yeah, I was a little upset with myself over that turnover, stupid play. Put them, it made it a 1-possession game. So I knew I had to make free throws. I knew I had to do what I do best, get to the free throw line, knock down shots at the end of the game to redeem myself.
We'll do one more here. Scott, go ahead.
Malcolm, big picture, it seems like adaptability has been the theme of kind of this season for all teams at this point. Now that you guys are dealing with more health issues, what has this continued challenge been like for you personally as you guys continue to have to adapt?
Honestly, you start to assume that people are going to be out, and you start to, just try to count on yourself. That's really what this is about. I know now I have to come mentally prepared every single day. I can't rely on Domas being there in the pick and roll every night. I can't rely on Miles being at the rim blocking every shot. I got to be ready for people to drop and for me to go out there and rebound the ball more than I usually do. Go out there and have more assists. Go out there and score more. So for me, it's about being mentally tough. And I think that's what everybody on this team has done. You've seen the production of a lot of guys go up as guys drop. So it's about, telling yourself to be even better, to fill those gaps when other people are down.
All right. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you.
imagine playing 42 minutes in an NBA game, let alone at center. How would you put into words what tonight was like for you and the last 24 hours of preparation getting ready for it?
It's been crazy. A lot of, mental preparation, honestly, from yesterday when I knew, we were short some guys. And then after realizing Jakar was, that suspension, I was like, all right, let me just really focus on rebounding and just helping the guys down low, setting great screens and just being that, big that we needed. So that was my main focus coming into the game. And, I knew I was going to be able to score in different ways, but my main focus was definitely helping, Malcolm and Karis get open and just rebounding for them.
Scott.
O'Shea, what did those preparations for playing center include? Was it film? What did it all include for you?
Yeah, film. We played Moses and those guys in the bubble, so I kind of knew who he was and what he likes to do. But the way we play a lot of 5-out, and Domas and Miles they're able to move around. So it wasn't really that hard for me to fit in with what we were doing. It was just more on the defensive end that I have to really focus on being in my drops and being in the right spots on rotations.
J. Michael.
O'Shea, how does it feel? Coach just said this to us. I don't know if he said it outright to you, but I'd asked him, when other guys and healthy bodies start to come back, what happens with a guy like O'Shea who comes out with a game like this and you continue to stack games like this? He says you got to reward a guy who's playing well. And what does knowing that, what does that mean for you? That because that doesn't happen, or you don't have coaches say that about, it's like, hey, you lose your spot and you go back sitting on the bench. But he seems to say the opposite. What is your take on that, and how does that make you feel hearing that?
Makes me feel good, man. Me and Coach Nate have a great relationship, and I know the exact way that he wants me to play, and that's what I'm gonna do every night. So when we have our guys back, it's gonna be real scary because I feel like I could come in and do what I gotta do in the right ways, and help our guys just win games. So I know there's not going to be a full load on me that I gotta really try to score and do all this other stuff, but I want to be the guy that comes in and gives a lot of energy and helps us win games. So it's amazing that coach looks at me like that, but I'm staying humble and knowing what I got to do.
Brennan Rourke.
Hey, O'Shea. So with Malcolm being one of the leaders on the team, how did he kind of keep you motivated throughout tonight?
It's just always hearing good job is just something that keeps anyone motivated, especially coming from a guy like him, who's had a great, successful career. He's giving me little pointers here and there throughout the game, but, a simple good job just goes a long way, honestly, from, him to Karis to the coaches. Just little things like that. I know what I got to do on the court, and, when I feel like I'm doing a good job and then hearing it from them, just like I said, it's amazing. It gives me real boosts to keep going. And that's all I want to do. I just want everyone to feel comfortable and everyone to be happy on the court. And, I know if I do my part, that's going to help with that.
Tony East.
O'Shea, you mentioned after your start and everything that you were going to, talk to your daughter and you were really excited. You were going to yell. Today, you sign a long contract. You have a career high scoring game. Your teammates dump water on you in the locker room. Can you take me through your emotions, how you're feeling right now? I mean, today had to be one of the better days of your entire life.
Yeah, most definitely. My mom sent me, she's with my daughter right now. She sent me a video of her wearing a little Pacers shirt. So, I know they're watching and cheering, and, that's amazing in itself. And that's even aside from the game. The game is just, it hasn't even really sit in, of what just happened. But, I just gotta keep going. I can't really, dwell on one game. We have a whole bunch left, and we gotta, make this little playoff run. So, it's amazing. It's amazing for sure.
Pat, go ahead.
Malcolm, just a few minutes ago, called you the late season signing of the year. And I'm wondering, as you join a team late in a season, it has to be challenging from a lot of levels. How would you describe what guys like Malcolm and the leaders of this team, how have they welcomed you in, and how key has that been to you having success and feeling comfortable?
That really starts from the first day, honestly. First practice that we had, these guys were, really voicing where they need me to be and talking through plays and all that stuff. And, that just helps, with a guy like me that really wants to come in and win and, help everybody. When those guys are really being, outright and forward in what they want, it's a lot easier. And, those guys are real true professionals, man. They come in, they get their work done, and, they stay pros about it. So who am I to come in and not get the same effort? And that's what really made it easy, just seeing them, seeing the way they work. It really builds a culture for a guy like me that comes in here and, wants to prove myself. And it's easy just coming here and getting shots up and lifting and stuff I've been doing my whole life. So when we have guys that we have here that are real welcoming, it makes it a lot easier.
J. Michael.
O'Shea, do you see yourself as, you look at the Pacers and what they need? I was asking Malcolm about this, a guy who can maybe play the four, who can defend some of these quicker fours and small lineups, but also defend bigger, more traditional fours. And then you can go down on the other end and shoot threes to cause matchup problems. Do you see that's where your bread is going to be buttered sort of thing, big picture? Have you thought that far ahead? Is that what you think where you're eventually going to be able to prosper, or do you think you're going to be better somewhere else in another position?
I haven't really thought that far ahead, but sorry, that's kind of who I am. I like defending, and obviously people like scoring. I like scoring, but with the way that I'm quick and the way I slide my feet, really makes it easier once we get switches and we're just able to move a lot better. But long term, that's definitely a guy that I want to be. I want to be a guy that they rely on defense, to get a stop when we need it, or make the right rotation, or talk to guys and do all that little stuff, and then offensive end score when I can. So I see my game getting to that level, and then with more playing time and more freedom and stuff like that, then could show a lot more.
Any final questions before we wrap tonight? Okay, awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.